Alright, here is the Dinky Mighty Antar that I bought off eBay. And I'm also trying something a bit different. I don't actually talk during any of the filming of these videos, the clips. I'm just narrating over the end. Let me know if it's any good or not. I'm not convinced that I'd like to do it this way, but we'll see. So here it is. Paint's pretty sad. It was all there. I think there might have been just one odd tyre. And obviously some green plastic clip oven bag tyres holding the propeller on, which is not right. But by and large, it was in pretty good nick. Just that one wrong tyre, but who cares about tyres? They all come off anyway. Interesting thing I was going to try with this particular model is not completely pull it apart. And that's really the goal of all of my builds, my restos, is to restore them in a way that at the end of the day, when it's done, most people won't even know it's been restored. That's the goal. Obviously they look very fresh and they wouldn't look right today, being so bright and shiny and new in 2019, but give these things a few years on a shelf on display and you won't know the difference between it and one that was made back in the 40s, 50s or 60s. So I didn't undo that pin there that holds the prime mover to the low loader. I didn't drill it out. It's a unique rivet anyway. It would be not insurmountable to replicate, but I chose not to pull that apart. But that one there on the front of the chassis there, I did drill that one out and I took careful note of it so I could replicate it. And the real challenge here was not to damage the model. Just noting here that there's a thin end and a thick end on the axles. So when you do grind them back, just grind back on the thin end, and you can see that's the thin ends there. And at the other end of the cabin, it's on the other side of the truck. There it is there. Just means you take off less material and it's much easier to remount the wheels when it's done. So there it is. It's gone a bit of a pink colour over the years. They were quite a bright red, as you'll see. And yeah, no bent mud guards or bumpers. It was all in pretty good nick. But yeah, the real challenge is restoring it while keeping it in one piece. With the exception, of course, is that front base plate there that comes off, which allows you to take the cabin off and get to the driver, who I detailed as well. And there's the original prop and its plastic base. And I didn't do anything to that other than give it a clean. Pretty fortunate to get one that was complete. Quite a spectacular Dinky toy, probably one of their best, I think, to look at. It's a big model, as I'm sure you're well aware. But when they're finished, they look just fantastic. So here I am just grinding off the ends of the axles to get the rims off. Obviously you have to be a little bit careful not to damage the wheel hub itself. And you literally are trying to remove the barest minimum so that actually when you pull the wheel off, if there's some resistance there but you are able to get it off, then that's perfect. You don't want to take too much off. And a lot of different axle lengths in this vehicle. I think there's 3 different lengths of axle. Lots of grinding, but we get there in the end. Knock the phone over. Shit. I actually started this, oh gee, a month ago or more, and I was held up for a long time trying to find that one rivet that I drilled out. So there's your axles, 3 different lengths from the front of the vehicle, the rear wheels on the prime mover, and then the rear wheels on the trailer. So that's just some detail of that front rivet. It's got a sort of a rounded base and a slightly conical shape to it, and some rings running around it, obviously that were created when it was formed. I took those photos to remind me of what it looked like for when I replicated the rivet, which you'll see at the end. And like I said, I did this a month ago or more, 6 weeks ago even, and that's why I'm just trying to remove the last little bits of the rivet that were just clinging on and just holding on the prime mover's 2 parts together. And my goal here is always to not drill out any material from the base plate. I do see a lot of people restoring these things and they drill the head of the rivet off, and then in the process they also drill some material from the base plate as well. Like I said at the beginning, my goal is at the end of this so that you will not know, no one would know that it's been restored, other than the fact that it's 2019 and it's bright and shiny. So I go very slowly and just try and make sure that it's just done as close to perfect as I can get it. And you can see this is when it starts to become apparent to me that this is going to be a little bit of a challenge in keeping the prime mover and the trailer together through the whole restoration, painting, everything. So that makes it a little interesting. Anyway, I take my time, drill, have a look, make sure I'm not taking away any material from the base plate at all. And made myself a little picture of what the rivet looked like and took its measurements and everything. Just get rid of the last little bits. And that's just remaining rivet head. The last little bit of flash that's holding the base plate to the chassis. Yeah, this is where you just got to put the drill down, and because it's easy to go too far with the drill, just get those last little bits off with a file or a screwdriver. You're not as likely to do any damage as you would with a drill. And I just fold them over and they just break off. I dare say if Marty was doing this, he would have cut himself 4 times already and flicked the model across the other side of the lounge room. But yeah, just make sure you got a firm grip and you don't stab yourself with whatever you've got in your hand. Take your time. There it is. perfect circle in the base plate, not the tiniest piece drilled out of it. Now we just got to take the cabin off. There it is, and there's the driver up in there. He's held on by a little metal S-shaped bracket and a little rivet. And he gets detailed later on. And there it is. Yep, here's me just showing off. Yep, see, look, haven't drilled anything out. That's the base plate, perfect. All right, yeah, caustic soda and stripping this thing. Yeah, a lot of, oh, I shouldn't say a lot, I mean a lot of difficulty in doing the trailer when I get to it because of its size. The cabin was easy, and it is good to reveal how good the condition is when you take all the paint off. You know you don't have a lot of body work to do. There it is. I don't know why people use that liquid gel paint stripper. Yeah, it's, I don't know why. It's so messy. And the videos I've seen, that they spend ages then with dental picks picking out the paint, whereas the caustic soda takes it pretty much all off. There might be the tiniest little remaining one or two portions somewhere deep buried in a corner or something, but by and large it's all done with the caustic soda. And literally I had this whole model stripped, ready to paint in 10 minutes, or less. Doing a bit of paint matching. And as luck would have it, once I'd exposed the red on the base plate that had never seen daylight, it was the same red that most of my models have been. It's a Vallejo Air RLM 23, I think, from memory. And the grey was not straight out of the bottle, as luck would have it. You can't have it all your own way. But I gin around here for a little bit, and I think in the end I had to add some white, just lighten it up a bit. Yep, there you go. A few drops of white, and it was pretty much perfect. Now the fun stuff, trying to remember I'm keeping the prime mover and the trailer together so they don't fit in my Pyrex jug, so it's got to be done in stages. Yeah, we know I'm using that, you dickhead. But anyway, in it goes. I try and keep the reaction happening for as long as possible, really drag it out. So I don't just dump the caustic soda straight in. Now the other half. And the black portion there is the part of the trailer that sits underneath the propeller. So like a checker plate finish on it. Just try and drag out the chemical reaction, because that, I think, is obviously what's removing the paint. I don't think too much happens once it all stops. Try and get her into fresh water as quickly as you can once you're happy that it's done its job. And look at that. A bit of a going over with the brass, the wire brush. She's in great shape. Propeller goes in. And we all know what caustic soda does to plastic. Jeez, there you go, $2. No, you don't put plastic parts in caustic soda. Okay, bit of primer. On the cabin. Can't film and paint at the same time. I need a bracket or something or other to put my phone on while I'm filming. So while I'm filming and spraying in the spray booth, so there's not enough room to put the phone anywhere to film it all. But anyway, you get the idea. And there it is. There's the driver in there all masked up. I ended up redoing him anyway. Getting the red down. There's no great art to this, just be patient. No need to go like a bull at a gate, throw it all on at once, really quick. Thick coats can give you a good glossy finish. But you do run the risk of paint runs, which are potentially a lot more work and fixing. I don't think I've ever had a paint run in any of the restorations I've done, so I've got to be doing something right. I do like to keep the details crisp too, so which you'll potentially lose if you go too hard on your paint, especially in the grills, any detail areas. Grills especially I stay away from, especially when I'm priming. I give them a dusting with the primer, just so we don't lose detail. And as you see on the grill on this vehicle, it's a lot of detail, and at the end product is just beautiful. It's very crisp, very sharp details in the front end of this. Come to the main challenge. So remember, this part is red and the taped up flatbed is grey. This is where it becomes tricky. So I'll mask everything off, painted the grey. There she is drying. Came out really nice. All the paint came out really nice. And that's the main issue in there. If there's going to be any problems with paint, it's going to happen in there at the junction. the trailer's going to rub on the prime mover or vice versa, and you're going to have to get the brush out and touch it up. All the wheels getting done. I always forget to do the wheels when I have the paint all mixed up and good to go. It's only after everything's been painted that I then look across the table and see all the wheels are there, unpainted. So there's the base for the propeller, which I marked off and painted in satin black. Again, trying to keep the details really crisp, and look at that, it's just flawless. That came out perfect. Clean all the axles, just pop them in the drill. A few of them I had to put them on a little metal anvil and straighten, which is pretty easy to do. Just rolling around with your finger, and so there's obviously a high point, and you just give a tap with the hammer and flatten it out. And the end as well. Make it nice and shiny. Fine. Right, that rivet head should not be red. It should be natural colour. Brass. So I got my little hobby hammer and super glued a piece of sandpaper on the end of it and just removed the paint. There's the grill all masked up. A lot of people would just paint it by hand black. You can tell it's been done by hand. Shock horror, it's really noticeable on restorations that grills and bumpers have been done by hand. I try and steer away from it. The factory did it with a brush, with a spray paint, predominantly for the bigger models anyway. And I think you'll find that the end result is just so much better. There's me shaping that rivet to hold the prime mover together. And this is what caused the delay in finding the right rivets. I had a million of them at home, but none here in my little apartment. So here's me shaping it. It had a pointy, a sharp edge. And if you recall on the diagram, the actual rivet has a bit of a rolled over edge, and it also had a profile that was more pointed, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm just rolling over the edge so it's not so sharp, and then flattening the main face and giving it more of a conical look. Drilling out the post to put the rivet head in. I should have drilled this out pre-paint. It's another thing I always forgetting to do, because every time you handle the model, of course, you run the risk of chipping some paint off, but it all went well. Yeah, I had some concerns the rivet was a little bit too big for the hole, for the drill bit that I had, so hence I just moved the drill around to try and make it just a little bit bigger. Bit of a test fit now with the rivet head. Blow all the sharp bits of metal away. Just see how this rivet head's going to fit in. And it was perfect because it just sat a little bit proud, didn't just fall in. So we'll put in a bit of super glue. I normally use araldite because I've got more faith in araldite, but this has dragged on for weeks, this model, and I was pretty keen to knock it over. Moment of truth. Pretty much nothing can go wrong once this thing's in. And it went in really nice. And it looks perfect. Obviously it's nice and shiny now. Give it a few years and it'll dull down. So here it is, finished. Doesn't look great. It's a beauty. And I went and got some black elastic, thin elastic, from Spotlight, or the local haberdashery store, that is used to hold down the base for the propeller. There you can see it. That's how it was done by Dinky at the factory. There's that rivet. Sharp edge is gone. It sort of rolls over at the base there and has a slightly conical profile as the original did. And now there it sits up with all the others. I'm sort of running out of room. Now I need to find somewhere else to display all these things.